2, Salter hands off to Billy, up the middle, surges into third. Touchdown for Billy Lucas tonight. Far sidelines, picked off by Bodner at the 10.
Project Fill the Bill is underway. Hey there, friends. Welcome to Flame Central Game Day, brought to you by Earthright Mid-Atlantic Solar and Energy Efficiency. Brett McGibbon here alongside Pat Kelly, Reginald Walker Jr. Good to have you in the house.
It's good to be back. Good to be back up here on the mountain.
Hey, right off the bat here, Pat, I'm going to ask you, is your tie, is that your game pick?
No, I mean, guys, listen.
I saw it, and I was just like, oh boy.
LSU's playing today. There's a little blue in there for Notre Dame. I'm trying to check all the boxes.
Gotcha.
This is tough. I mean, what do you want from me?
That's a dangerous game you're playing there, my friend.
Where's the Penn State blue then?
I was just at Penn State yesterday. Does that count for anything?
I know better. I just stay away from all my teams.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, hey, we're entering into a 2-week stretch, really, in a lot of ways, an 8-day stretch for LU that could make or break their season. They're taking on ECU today, next week at App State. We're not going to get to that quite yet, but today's contest, a big one. Is this the start of, do or die time in a lot of ways?
Yeah, I mean, every week is going to be your biggest game, right? You keep forging forward, especially for a team that has playoff hopes. You've got to win week in and week out, especially with the schedule that Liberty's got. Red, I'm not going to lie. When you first posed this question for, what we were going to talk about today, I wasn't sure if you meant, are these the two biggest games in Liberty history? And I was going to emphatically scream, no!
No, not that.
But, yeah, I mean, it's a crucial stretch. You've got ECU, you've got App State, two teams that are talented despite some recent, finishes that they've had. But, yeah, it absolutely is the biggest part of the season.
Reggie, let me ask, does App State still have as much weight considering the fact that they got absolutely smacked by South Alabama?
Until that happened, I would say, yes, they were in that mix as one of the teams that could make a lot of noise. I think that dominant loss at home on national television kind of ended all of that conversation for the Mountaineers. So it'll be interesting to see, look, again, to Pat's point, playing this game today against ECU and then against App. Those were two of the teams out of the group of 5, along with probably Memphis, Boise State. Now Northern Illinois has entered the conversation with their win over Notre Dame. I think those were the teams that you had to watch. And at this point, I think App State is completely out of that mix.
Right. One thing that I'll say to that point there is, in terms of just the critics from the Sun Belt versus Conference USA, just for that respect perspective,
That's true.
You've got to beat this App State team regardless of if they lost by 60 points or what. So, if Liberty wants the respect, they've got to be able to come in and obviously win this week, but then knock off App State.
Terrific point. Lots of chatter going on the old X, as they call it. It's gotten interesting. These two teams, we're talking about App State and ECU, met last week. Let's take a look here at the highlights. ECU sitting at 2-1 on the season. That should tell you what happened in this game, but it was a strong start for this group.
I watched this film, and I thought that ECU was going to absolutely boat race Appalachian State. They went 65-yard touchdown to start. They kick a field goal after that. They go with a pick six, so they're up 16-0. App State hung in there, tight end pop pass for the touchdown. Reggie, what were your thoughts on that game?
Well, one thing about ECU in this new offense, they can be explosive, but they're still inconsistent. John David Baker in this offense, they go rapid fire really fast. Actually, I had them week 1 of the season. I made the joke that they go so fast. I think he's calling the play before he sees the result of the previous play. I think that has led to some of the inconsistency with this offense. And you saw it in that football game, unable to sustain it throughout 4 quarters.
You look at this game, you thought, okay, as we mentioned, ECU looked like they were going to start off strong. Touchdown there by App State, got them right back in it. They would take the lead. The end of this game got absolutely nutty. It looked like, okay, here we are. Garcia dropping back. Another interception on the year. Uh-oh, what are we doing? You thought it was all said and done for the Pirates, and then a little bit of life, maybe they had it? No.
You hate to see that.
Oh,
the
goodness.
transfer from Maryland there, Gavin Gibson, could have given his team a chance to come back and win that game. Ball pops up in the air on 3rd and 6. They get the first down. That pretty much does it.
And Gavin Gibson has been one of those guys really throughout this early part of the season that's made a lot of plays for them, been in the right spot. Unfortunate he was unable to make that play if you're an ECU fan.
All right, let's jump into today's matchup here with our Century Exterior Scouting Report. And when you look at the Pirates, I think when you look at every team on Liberty's roster this coming year, the front 7 for ECU, the nastiest that Liberty has faced.
Yeah, it absolutely is. These guys are fast, they're physical. It was interesting listening to their defensive coordinator this week. You know, the question was asked, how are these guys so good? And one of his responses was, you know what? They've had the snot knocked out of them the last 3 or 4 years, so they're used to getting beat up. They're used to battling in the trenches. And then he said, hey, we tackle at practice every single day. So you've got a physical football team coming in here that wants to smack you in the face. I think they are super stout up front.
They really are. They go about 7 or 8 deep on that defensive line. I think only 1 or 2 of those guys is a sophomore or younger. So veteran group, older guys physically into their bodies, understand how to play. And to your point, Pat, got beat up the last couple of years. I think they've learned from that and gotten a lot better as a group.
So here's the question. Is Liberty today going to be able to run up the middle, or are things going to have to change? Because when you look at this, PFF grade of 91.4, that's 4th best, tied for 4th best in the nation. No team has gotten over 100 yards on the ground against them so far this season. You see the 71 stops. Proof is in the numbers. In this case, they've been able to get it done.
They really have. And look, this is a group, because of the veteran presence in the defensive line, I think that's why they've had so much of that success. These guys do an excellent job, a lot of size. Talking about guys like Deontay Johnson, 295 pounds. Morris is 285 pounds. They're big physical guys up front, take up a lot of space. I think that's led to their success.
Yeah, take a look here. Here's their top 4 run stoppers. You mentioned Deontay Johnson, Mike Edwards in there as well. The linebackers can get it done. I know you're a big fan of Barker, Pat. These guys are very mobile, and they're also violent.
Yeah, they're violent. What impresses me is how quickly they can slip blocks. So when they see space, they shoot that gap. They're able to bring the ball carrier down in the backfield. Barker's a guy that I think is super, super aggressive. I honestly think Liberty can take advantage of that aggression a little bit today. I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a bit. But Barker and Edwards III are both really fun to watch.
Let me go back to that question really fast about the run game for LU. Is there going to be more option today? Like, you have to think they're going to spread it out wide.
Yeah,
more outside looks.
I definitely think so. The one thing I'll say is no one's rushed for over 100 yards this year. ODU didn't really try. They like to pass the ball a lot. I think Liberty absolutely goes over 100. They might get stopped up front. They do have the speed. That option game is going to open some things up. I think they can get the edge several times, and they're going to have to because they love to muddy things up. They like to fill their gaps and prevent guys from getting off blocks, so I think they can hit the edge.
Moving on, the air game today for Liberty. Caden Salter and the wide receivers, it doesn't feel like they've yet to be in sync completely. Is this the game that it has to break out, and will it break out?
I think it's going to need to because it's so difficult to run the football against this defensive front. And so I think you're going to have success pushing the ball down the field. We haven't gotten into it yet, but the best corner, number 2 corner prospect in this upcoming NFL draft for most people, Savon Ravel, is now out for ECU. That takes something away from the secondary. You're going to have to hit some shots down the field. Keep those safeties, Gavin Gibson and that group, back off of this running game and then see if you can get to the perimeter. So I think that's going to be an interesting chess match to watch throughout this football game, particularly early.
Go back to Ravel real quick. Does that take away the ability for ECU to just really put so many guys in the box? Are they going to have to step off of that now and respect the Liberty passing game a little bit more?
I think the answer to that question simply is yes. It's probably a little more complicated than that, but he was one of those guys that they can look at as a 6'3", almost 6'4" corner, long arms, great ability to say, lock down one side of the field, we'll do other things on the other side. They don't have that aspect of their defense in this ball game and moving forward. So to answer your question, yes, that changes what they can do defensively.
Well, absolutely thrilled now to be joined by 8th head coach of Liberty baseball history, joining the program, Bradley LeCroy. Coach LeCroy, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
At VCU the past couple years, no football there. How nice is it to be back at a school where you have a Saturday game day?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You know, I played at Clemson, grew up going to college football games. Sure. Excited to attend my first game, been on the road recruiting the first 2 home games. Got my boys here with me and excited to watch a great game tonight. The Flames come out on top.
Oh, so this is your Liberty debut for football.
It is.
Oh, that's terrific. Before we dive more into football and whatnot, talk to me about this baseball team. A lot of new faces for Flames fans to get to know this group. Can you give me a little summary about the guys that you have coming in and what Flames fans can expect this year?
Yeah, it's an exciting group. We've been at it for about a month now. We started team practice this past Monday. Got 4 scrimmages in this week, really competitive scrimmages. Landscape of college athletics, the roster every single year is changing.
Right.
It's a big overhaul, and especially when you have a coaching change. Fortunately, I was able to, when I got the job early enough summer, we were able to add some really good players. We got starting center fielder from the University of Florida who's played in the College World Series the past 2 years. Awesome. Got a couple other Power 4 transfers. We're able to keep, which is a key thing in college athletics now. Yes. Able to keep our shortstop Tanner Marsh, one of the best pitchers, I think, sophomore pitchers in the country, and Ben Blair stayed here at Liberty. And so it's got an exciting group. Still learning who they are. They're still learning who I am and the coaching staff. But, man, we've been getting after it. I'm so proud of the guys, the effort they've been giving us.
That's terrific.
Coach, I think if you need anyone on your team that is very, very good at eating sunflower seeds, I'm your guy. First of all, I'll kick my feet up. I can spin them with the best. My question is, anytime you're taking over a program, culture is a pretty dominant thing. As you're taking over this team, in terms of establishing a culture, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I think every time you take over somewhere, it's different, right? I have a ton of respect for Coach Jackson. Coach Jackson and I have been friends for over 20 years. We got our start together in Division II ball in the same conference. So that they've won a lot of games here. I know they had a down year last year. A lot of it had to do with the injuries on the pitching staff. But the returners, they know how to work. And that was established from the previous coaching staff. But the number one thing is having a championship mindset. And we talk about it every single day about, hey, this isn't, new coach, rebuild. Like, we're trying to win this year. And that's the mindset we practice every day.
Not a rebuild, a reload.
That's right. Yep.
Love it.
Let me ask you this, Coach. As you build a team and sort of mold this thing together, when you're evaluating players that are coming from other places, we know how the transfer portal works. That evaluation process, because the environments and the different places that guys are coming from, situations are so different. How much conversation with you and your staff when you're trying to figure out, is this kid the right fit? How are those some of those conversations going? Yeah,
they're going great. I mean, the thing about it is fortunately for myself and our whole staff, we're pretty connected. So the communication with whether it's the players' previous coach, summer coach, travel coach, whoever it is, to find out if he's the right type of fit for our program and the right type of fit for Liberty. And we feel like we did a really good job this summer in a short amount of time. And going forward, with the new landscape of 34-man roster and where this house settlement goes, who knows, right? So every day in the office we talk recruiting at some point in the day, and every day it changes,
right?
Because there's so much uncertainty. But I got a great staff. And I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Coach, thrilled to have you at Liberty, and I hope you enjoy tonight with your sons.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Go Flames.
Good stuff. Well, time now for our Carl Miller Realty Field Pass. Joining us down on field level, Jordan White, offensive lineman for the Flames. Jordan, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. How y'all doing today?
Good, man. Good. You're going up against one of the top run-blocking teams in the nation statistically. What's the focus for the O-line today and yourself in particular?
Yes, sir. Our job is to do our job, remain calm, take one play at a time, and be great.
Hey, Jordan, this is Pat Kelly coming in here. I know that you guys have you've played a little bit of musical chairs in terms of offensive line. How difficult has that been? I know you're kind of that leader along the front up there. How difficult has that transition been?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's been difficult for us. To always get a sixth guy in, a seventh guy in, always helps us for guys just to reload and be healthy on the field at all times. And the connection that we have as offensive line, I think it's been a real positive look for us.
Jordan, Reginald Walker here. Quick question for you. As you look at this defensive line, and at times they have a lot of movement, different things going on, how is that communication process with you guys up front, just in terms of what you've seen on film? How are you going to go about dealing with some of that today in this ballgame?
By just taking plays one by one. Everybody doing their individual job, straining through blocks, and just being great at all times, all aspects of the day.
All right, Jordan, last question before we let you go. will Liberty be the first team to put up over 100 on the ground versus ECU today?
Yes, sir. We will.
All right. Like the confidence. Jordan, thank you for the time.
Thank you.
That was Jordan White of the Flames, and confident in the group. He has graded out extremely well this season, and as I mentioned, really the leader of that O-line. That center to start the year, injuries have occurred, he's moved to guard, but he has been a dog wherever they put him.
I just appreciate that there was no hesitation. And are you guys going for over 100? Yes, sir, we are. There's no doubt about that. You want that attitude from your big boys up front.
Absolutely. You have to feel like you can move the man in front of you. That's the name of the game in football at all levels. Can we win the line of scrimmage? I always say, you want to measure a team, see what they do in third and fourth and 2 or less. If they can move people on the other side of the line of scrimmage, that's a chance to be a dominant football team.
Well, continuing on with our field pass now, we look to Deontay Johnson, a veteran member of this defensive line and one of the key cogs when it comes to interior linemen.
Yeah, this guy is an absolute hoss in the trenches there. Reggie, I think you mentioned it earlier. He's almost 3 bills. I think he's 294 pounds. He can really clog up those gaps, which is exactly what these coaches have him doing. You don't want to try and slip those blocks. Fit up so that you kind of just muddy the waters in there and prevent some big gains up the middle.
Interestingly enough, he's a Virginia native from Dinwiddie, Virginia.
Hey.
But he is at what you would call a quintessential guy that can play both gaps, but he can also penetrate. He's got strong get-off, great hands. He'll be one to keep an eye on in this ballgame.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, turning our attention now, we go inside the numbers, powered by Alcova Mortgage. We'll start off with this. Quentin Cooley, there's been mixed reviews. I'm not sure. Nobody knows here if he's fully healthy, if he's going to be limited today in terms of snaps. But when you look at him and the potential loss of having the bell cow, as he is typically called, for any snap that you want, that's going to hurt Liberty in the run game.
Yeah, it certainly is. Anytime you lose your number 1 or number 2 guy, whether Salter's 1 and he's 2 or vice versa, it's going to hurt you, right? One of the things that this team can take confidence in, though, is the fact that Coach Chadwell said several times this year, hey, I think pound for pound, in terms of our running back room, I think we have the best group of running backs in Conference USA, bar none. So he's confident in his guys. He's going to plug the next guy in there. Interested to see what it looks like between the tackles today and if they can get some guys on the edge.
The other thing about Cooley, and I don't know if everybody caught that stat there, but 0 carries for losses of yards.
I was just going to bring that up.
I think that right there speaks volume of what kind of player he is for this offense, how important he is running the football against a team like ECU that likes to come downhill with the linebackers and the defensive front. You better be able to make sure you're falling forward, getting positive yards. You do not want to be behind the chains against Blake Harrell in this defense because he will absolutely come after you.
It's going to take a village today, though, and you're going to have to rely on Billy Lucas, who had a terrific game last game, 3 touchdowns for him. Vaughn Blue has seen spurts here and there where he's been able to break out. I think Liberty fans, including myself, I'll join in this conversation. Love to see him maybe get the rock a little bit more. And then your quarterback, very mobile as well, in Caden Salter.
Yeah, I think you're certainly going to need explosive plays from all of those guys because this is an ECU offense that's known for some chunk or some explosive plays. So it really is going to take a village, like Rhett said. I think Blue is the most explosive when he gets the ball in his hands, so excited to see what he can do tonight.
As we continue on, looking at our matchup under center, this is Jake Garcia. And, all right, Reggie, I know you've called an ECU game this year.
Yep.
Who is the real Jake Garcia? Would he please stand up? Is it the guy that's dropping 4 picks against Norfolk State? Who is this? Who is this man?
Well, I think the truth is a little bit in the middle, right? Like, if you go back and look at the tape of the Norfolk State game, and I feel like in their second game of the year, even against ODU, 7 picks in those first 2 games.
Yeah.
If you go back to the Norfolk State game, one of those picks easily, they have 2 corners at Norfolk State that will play in the NFL.
Okay.
Teron Mallory and Devin Allen. One of those plays, the corner just went and made a play. Garcia's got to be smarter about where he puts the football in those situations. The thing that concerns me the most, 3 of the 8 interceptions this year have been in the red zone. That's where you've got to take care of the football. Don't take points off the board by throwing interceptions in that space. So I think the numbers are a little bit louder, I think, than they probably should be, but he still has to do a better job making decisions with the football.
Yeah, I think Garcia, you got to take the good with the bad, right? He's going to make some absolutely great throws. He's going to squeeze it in a tight window, and then he's going to have some really head-scratching interceptions. So he's given it away quite a few times this year. I think we maybe see 1 or 2 tonight, but he's also going to rip some throws in there. He can make every throw on the field. I think he's going to have a decent game.
When we take a look now for the Flames, Caden Salter, is this the game where the offense in terms of the passing yards start to come together?
You'd like to think so. I mean, if this ECU defense is going to shut Liberty's run down to an extent, you're going to have to rely on your passer. Honestly, using an extension of the run game, some of those bubble screens, smoke screens, tunnels, things like that. But yeah, I do think some receivers are going to have to step up. Salter's going to have to put the ball on some guys.
With the pressure that we've already mentioned this D-line is able to create, Reggie, how much of this is going to need to be, a quick pass to the flats, like real quick, concise passes as you head downfield?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very important part of this, because there will be some situations where Blake Harrell and this defense, they kind of back up and force you to take what's easy underneath. You have to be willing to take that if you're Caden Salter. He's going to have to stay patient. He's going to have to take what the defense gives him. And if he consistently does that, I think they have a chance to have a really good day in the passing game. And that'll also allow you to be efficient in terms of completions to attempts.
Rhett, let me say this just really quickly. One thing that I could see Liberty doing is try and get your guys in space, because last week Eastern Carolina struggled to tackle in space. 19 missed tackles in the game last week. I think if Liberty can get their guys into space and say, hey, bring us down, I think there's going to be an opportunity for some chunk plays run after the catch.
One guy that has not struggled in space this season, Joe Carter, linebacker for the Flames, a walk-on that has earned a scholarship. You heard Coach Chadwell say last week he's one of the best players in the conference. Emily Austin caught up with him earlier.
What a performance by the defense in week 3 for that win over UTEP, and it was led by linebacker Joe Carter, who joins me now. Joe, thanks so much for your time in advance. Before we talk about this team and this season, let's bring it back in the day a little bit. You were a walk-on when you originally came to Liberty in 2021. Now you are a team captain, which is just such an inspiring story in itself. 2023, your sophomore year, Jamey Chadwell and his staff comes in. You get awarded a scholarship at the end of fall camp.
But listen, in all seriousness, I do want to say this. Joe, appreciate your hard work that he does, because I pick on him a lot about it. We got one more picture right here. Look at that.
What was that moment like for you?
I was kind of expecting it, but with that fall camp, a lot had happened with losing a teammate and just trying to stay focused for the season. So by the time it did come around, it kind of surprised me, because I wasn't thinking nothing about that. I was just trying to get the guys. We were just trying to stay together. So when they told me, the guys was crying for me. So I'm like, dang, y'all boys start crying before I start crying. Like, I got chill. But other than that, it was just amazing. I had to just call my parents.
I bet they were so excited, right? Looking at this season for you specifically, 1 tackle versus Campbell, 5 at New Mexico State, and then boom, Joe Carter is on the scene, 13 tackles against UTEP. What changed?
Really, I don't know. I really feel like when they go pace, I just stop thinking as much and just react to instincts. I line up, make a tackle, go back to the ball. I have to focus on getting everybody else aligned, making sure we all on the same page. And with everybody starting to trust each other and just know that we doing our job, I just went and just made plays.
The coaches have been pretty vocal this season about looking for leaders and needing guys to step up. Skylar McGee and Coach Chadwell both said everyone looks to Joe Carter for answers.
We're going to come in, we're going to do our job.
Do you feel a responsibility to step up as a leader for this team? Because I know you're kind of a quiet guy, Joe.
Yeah.
You even told me before this interview, like, do I have to talk as loud as you?
Nah,
so I don't know how hard that is.
That was the first initial thought. I probably got to talk more, but then again, the guys, since they look to me ahead, I don't have to go out and tell them to look at me or nothing like that. When I say something, they all listen and they really put trust in me. Every day they tell me, hey, whatever you say, we got you. We're going off of you. So that kind of instilled trust in myself, knowing that they got me and I got them.
And you have the green dot. You are in communication during the game with Kyle Krantz. What has that been like for you?
I like it. It's pretty smooth. I just gotta make sure I relay everything he's saying. And a couple times you might not hear everything he's saying, so it's either make it up on the fly and make sure we all on the same page. But I feel like it's smooth, and it really helps us, especially with pace teams. I don't really have to look to the sideline. I just run back to the ball. I'm standing next to the D-line, just yelling out whatever I hear to them, and make sure we all be on the same page.
Which takes us to ECU. Tempo offense. They're going to be going fast. When you look to the conditioning, I'm sure you guys have a love-hate relationship with strength and conditioning coach Chad Scott. How much have you seen improvement in terms of your conditioning because of that program?
Nah, I definitely show up in the fourth quarter. Flames quarter, especially last year for sure. Every game, I'm like, these people on the team dropping. Like every game, I'm like, man, they about to start dropping y'all. Fourth quarter, you get 2 or 3 people cramps, hurt, all that. So, but Coach Scott, he do a great job with us, and we do a good job of doing that stuff on our own also.
Joe Carter, it's been so cool to see you grow here at Liberty. So excited to have you as a Flame. Best of luck against ECU.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, Joe, you know, sometimes I hear the signal, the call come in for the defensive play, and then if I don't catch it all, I just make it up on the fly. It's worked pretty well this year for him, I'll say.
That also tells you how smart he is.
Yeah, that's true. A great point. I don't know how many times it's happened on the fly, but so far so good, Joe. I like it. Bringing in the booth now, Matt Warner, Joe Yock will join us to talk more about this Liberty defense. We're expecting to see 2 great defensive teams play today. They've been terrific throughout the season. Joe, I'm not sure how much you're going to know about this, given that your UNC Tar Heels led up 70 today to JMU, but we'll let you talk.
Wow. Hey, let me tell you something. As the great late Paul Retigliano, Lord rest his soul in peace, says, "Hey, Rhett, stick to hockey, will you?"
That's right. And to be fair, I'm not sure how many times that North Carolina defense got to a 3rd down today. So let's call it like it is. No, Joe, Brett brings up a good point. They've broken down a lot of factors in this ballgame. Maybe nothing as important, though, as 3rd down. 2 of the best 3rd down defenses in the nation will be taking the field today. How do you see 3rd down playing out here in this ballgame tonight?
You know, I think it's going to be 2 different styles defensively. I think for ECU, it's not going to matter whether they're in 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 10. They're going to be a downhill attacking defense. I think on the Liberty side of the football, for them defensively, they've done a great job of mixing it up and changing up their giving a man look, giving a zone look, doing all kinds of different things to have their success. But there is one major stat that doesn't show up anywhere on our screens or anywhere around. It shows up in the ECU coaches room, and that stat is how many times does Caden Salter end up on his back? That is going to be, that's why they are going to attack today and come after Liberty and Caden Salter, because they want it to take a toll over 4 quarters and frustrate him, not necessarily intercept him, but obviously they want to do that, but all the different things. And that is to get him on his back and hit him until he becomes very frustrated.
Well, and as we've seen, and you guys know this well, Caden has been frustrated a lot early in this season. It may not take much to kind of get under his skin, and that's exactly what, as you said, they're going to try to do.
And they're going to get a little bit Pat Kelly-like, a little chirpy.
A little chirpy?
A little chirpy. And I will say this, it is good to see that Reginald Walker's back, because he is classing up. Him and Walter are the only guys that class up that desk down there.
That's absolutely true, guys.
Thanks, guys. All right. Moving on now, you talked about 3rd downs and the defense that's been shown by ECU, the desire to get after Caden Salter on the day. Speaking with the head coach of of ECU will be Emily Austin.
Yeah, here with Coach Houston. Coach, Savone Revel went down. The news broke yesterday. Heartbreaking loss for your team. First things first, how is Savone doing? And second, what was the team's response?
Well, he's doing okay. I mean, he's disappointed, obviously. Anybody would be. But, you know, he knows that he's got a lot of football ahead of him. This is just a minor setback. He is just a phenomenal young man. He'll attack the rehab. He will come back stronger. So I have confidence in that. You know, I hate it for his senior season. I hate it for our team. We have a tight-knit locker room. You know, they're praying for him. They're going to be there to support him. But they're here today to do a job in honor of him. So they talked a little bit about that last night. So they're very motivated, and I expect us to play well.
Unfortunately, it's that next man up mentality. Who do you expect to take his starting spot?
Well, Dontavius Nash will start, which he's a veteran guy. We moved him to corner during preseason camp for the depth. And then Andrew Wilson-Lamp, the transfer from West Virginia, will play a lot. So those 2 guys will handle that position there for Savone.
I know you and your guys take pride in your run defense. What kind of challenge will that be here today at Liberty?
Well, that'll be the deal. I mean, you know, they take pride in their run offense, and they do it as good as anybody in the country. So that's going to be the chess match. You know, are we going to be disciplined enough to be, you know, gap sound fundamentally? and be able to do our job all night with physicality. They're obviously going to try to get us out of our gaps. They're going to try to manipulate us with all the motion. Kind of get us looking other places to be able to run the football inside. So that's going to be the real chess match tonight.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a packed house, so it should be exciting. Thanks for your time, Coach.
It's going to be a good one. Go Pirates.
Guys.
Thank you to Emily, and thank you to Coach Houston. Real quick, and we've gotten questions about this. He mentioned the injury to Ravel and how this guy's a projected first round pick, right? So this guy, highly talented. We actually even got a question on YouTube about it. Gavin Blake, we touched on this earlier, but let's go back to it real briefly. I'm going to get you here. Give me 2 or 3 bullet points and just how much is going to be missing from the Pirates secondary with his absence, not only in this game, but rest of the season.
Well, let's start with number one, his leadership. His leadership back there is going to be missed. His ability to communicate, get guys on the same page. That's the first piece of it. The second element of what they're missing with him is a lockdown guy that can take one side of the field. You can play whatever coverage you want on the other side. You can tell him, just play cat coverage, meaning you got that cat, shut him down. That's what he can bring to the table. And then I think the third thing, right, is the trust and belief in the other guys that part of the game is squared away. When he's out there, they know they only have to worry about the other 9 guys and themselves. They don't have to worry about number 28 on the backside.
Yeah, it's going to be a big miss, obviously, for ECU. We'll see. You heard Coach talking about the members of the team they're going to have to rely upon. Nash coming in, that's going to play a lot more snaps today. We'll see how he fares, something we'll keep an eye on for the post-game show as well. All right, turning our attention now to our Nissan matchup spotlight. The wide receivers, Pat, you're a big fan of them. This is a talented and big group for the Pirates.
Yeah, it certainly is. When you just break some of these guys down, you've got Anthony Smith, the North Carolina State transfer, 6'3". You've got Winston Wright, who's played 30-plus games in his career. He was a receiving leader in 2021 at West Virginia. 73% of his yards come after the catch, so he can make you miss. Then you've got a Colorado transfer, Chase Sowell, 6'4", 195 pounds. And then Yannick Smith, 6'3". Reggie, you're a former defensive back. My question for you is, when you see these guys flanked on the outside, 2 guys split out wide, a guy in the slot, when you've got guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 6'4", what are your thoughts as you're looking at that?
First and foremost, you don't sleep well. That's number one the night before. And then at game time, you look over, and I think this is a little bit of, and you mentioned the height of these guys. The misnomer is you're talking about guys that are all pushing 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So the physicality, their ability also, because you have to think about it as a DB. Can I help in the running game? No, these guys are good blockers as well. Casey Kelly at the tight end spot. That's another deep room they have. One guy I think it's going to be interesting to watch in this game. You mentioned him, Chase Sowell, number 5. He's a guy that's had some injuries, missed a couple of games early. They're trying to find his consistency, get him back fully flowing. They've got a really, really good group. It's going to be up to Garcia to properly distribute the football to this group of wide receivers to give them opportunities to make plays against this Liberty defense.
Guys, I'm excited about the unit just in general. I mean, you've got, with Anthony Smith, kind of your X receiver, a lot of times he's going to be into the boundary. He's going to get some of your one-on-one matchups. You see him on film, catching the hitches, the slants, things like that. And then I'm just excited to see Winston Wright again, because this guy's dynamic. You think of comparisons. I know we love doing that. Demario Douglas is a former Flame that I sort of get images or flashbacks of him. He can catch the ball in space and make you miss. I think this is a tremendously talented unit.
The scary part about Smith, and you talked about it, right? He's the quintessential X, and a lot of times those guys are catching those hitches and they're not necessarily running away from people. He's got explosive speed. If you miss him in space, you've got a problem trying to chase him down from behind. Got to keep this receiving core of ECU in front of you if you are Liberty on defense.
Yeah, he was terrific against ODU and obviously had a touchdown last week against App State. So Winston Smith, yeah, definitely going to have to keep an eye on him.
You guys saw my brother, Casey Kelly, out there? On
yeah.
By the way,
that was your cousin.
By the way,
yeah, my cousin. I totally forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chad Kelly, Jim Kelly, that whole family tree, he's part of that.
Oh, very well.
Pretty good
very
genes.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty good genes.
Yeah, the Wikipedia of college football. Reginald Walker Jr. here with us today. Well, a tough challenge ahead for Jamey Chadwell as he looks forward to this. He is standing by with Emily Austin.
Coach Chadwell, I think the first question that everyone is wondering is, Quentin Cooley playing today. What is his status and how much will he play, if so?
Yeah, he'll play today. He finally got to practice towards the latter part of the week, and I wouldn't say he's 100%, but he's good enough, they said, that where he can play. We'll see how the game goes, how the adrenaline is, how much he does play, but I do expect him to play some. And then if he feels really good and the motion and everything's going, then we'll play him as much as we can.
You told us earlier this week this is the most talented team to visit Lynchburg since your time here. You said also that you had the most consistent week of practice. How confident are you in your team this week?
I'm very confident. I think anytime you're playing a team of their caliber, I think it raises up your practice habits, which I wish it wouldn't. I wish it was always the same, but anytime that happens. But we finally have had, I think, 4 good days, and so, and this is really the first week that we've had where it's been a consistent schedule because of our other schedule going out west and all the different things. So I think our guys are finally in a routine, and once they're in a routine, they're comfortable, and our practice habits have showed up.
Last one, broke news yesterday that ECU star cornerback Savone Rebel is out. How does that change the game for you guys?
Well, terrible for him. He's obviously a good player, and selfishly that's great because he's really good. From a competitor standpoint, you love to go against really good players, so it's disappointing. But there's certain things that we probably weren't going to do, or at least try not to do, because of what he's capable of. And so maybe you open up a little bit more of that stuff now because he's not there. And I'm sure they're going to have somebody that's a backup, but not near as good as what he was.
Going to be a sold-out crowd tonight. Best of luck trying to get to 4-0. Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Flames.
You heard it right there from Coach Chadwell. Flames are just going to air it out all night. No,
get me down there.
Yeah.
Give me a helmet.
Pat Kelly. It's a Pat Kelly kind of night. Hey, thanks for watching Flames Central Game Day so far. Still more to come. Capacity crowd at the Bill this afternoon.
Becoming a champion. It's more than one individual's journey. It's about those who came before you and those who will follow you. But most importantly, it's about the team beside you. The ones to mentor you, support you, and cheer you on in all your endeavors. These are the ones that make a champion. So no matter where you go and who you become, we all need a team like Liberty University.
After the final whistle has blown, join us for the Flames Central Game Day post-game show. We'll bring you the highlights, analyze the impact players, break down the stats, and hear from the Flames. Don't miss out on the post-game analysis that only Flames Central Game Day can provide. Join the Flames Central Game Day post-game show, only on the Liberty Flames social media. Flames Central Game Day. It's all about the Flames.
Welcome back to Lynchburg. ECU and the Flames kicking off in under 30 minutes time. Hey, make sure you check out our game of the week. Number 2, UNC in field hockey coming into town, taking on the number 11 Liberty Flames. Flames knocked them off last year at Chapel Hill. Can they do the same at home? That game tomorrow at 12 p.m. Well, hey, like a big piece of pie in your eye, it's Chris Vanini. I don't know if that's how the song goes, but I just made it up as I went. Chris Vanini joins us once again in our CUSA Outlook.
Welcome inside our studios. It's your lucky night. Back-to-back weeks of a CUSA Outlook with the Athletic senior writer, Chris Vanini. Chris, great to see you. Let's jump right into it. Western Kentucky had a big win over Middle Tennessee last week, but quarterback TJ Finley went down and will be out several weeks with a lower leg injury. That being said, Caden Veldkamp came in, went 27 for 30, 398 yards, 6 total touchdowns. Does your outlook on WKU change in any way, or maybe it becomes stronger with the stellar play from Caden?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Veldkamp should just be the starter in general, because remember, he came off the bench in the bowl game and did the same thing. He threw 5 touchdowns and threw for almost 400 yards, and they won that game. So the last 2 games he's played major time in, he's thrown 10 touchdowns. He seems to be pretty good. So to me, I don't think it changes my outlook on Western Kentucky at all.
It'll be interesting to see once Finley gets healthy what happens there. Okay, win or loss, which CUSA team impressed you the most or maybe had the best showing in week 3?
I think Sam Houston. I mean, that was my kind of dark horse team coming into the season. They go beat Hawaii to get to 2-1. It's a cross-conference win against the Mountain West. So I think Sam Houston, they've got wins against Rice and win against Hawaii as they're kind of getting ready for conference play here. So Bearcats are looking like they're on pretty solid footing right now, even while they've been dealing with some injuries.
Looking ahead to week 4, which CUSA team and matchup are you looking forward to most this week? I know last week it was FIU, FAU. The Owls pulled that one off. So what's your pick this week?
I mean, to me, it's Toledo, Western Kentucky, probably the biggest Group of 5 game of the week. Toledo's 3-0, coming off of a dominant win at Mississippi State. They're now in that playoff conversation, and Western Kentucky's going to be right near the top of Conference USA. So this is really 2 of the best teams, 2 of the upper tier teams in the Group of 5, Toledo, Western Kentucky. Could be a lot of points, and it should be a lot of fun.
It should. In your latest article on the Pac-12 and all of that rearrangement, you threw out a few CUSA teams, UTEP, New Mexico State University, Sam Houston, as potential targets for the Mountain West. If CUSA needs to fill a spot or multiple spots, who are your top candidates?
Yeah, it's hard to say where these steps are going to go, because a lot of things are still a few steps away. We don't know what the Pac-12 is going to be. We don't know what the American's going to be. That's impacting what the Mountain West is going to be. Then the Mountain West, if they continue to pull from Conference USA, or do you do something else? Remember back in the day, I want to say 10, 12 years ago, the Mountain West and Conference USA had a merger set. And so this is just my opinion, just pure speculation. I wonder if that's something you think about, making East-West type of situation. So, Tarleton State is an FCS program in Texas that has been looking to move up. They had conversations with Conference USA. They may have conversations with the Mountain West. They've got a lot of money in Stephenville, just outside of Fort Worth. But the Conference USA has been talking to a lot of FCS teams, but it costs $5 million to make that jump now. It's becoming a bit more prohibitive. And so depending on where these next couple of steps go may determine what the conferences have to think about.
That being said, in your opinion, what are the chances we see Liberty moving conferences in the next couple years? If so, where?
If the American loses 2 or 3 or more teams to the Pac-12, it may look to backfill a bit, and Liberty would make a lot of sense. Liberty is obviously the best football program in Conference USA. It's got a lot of resources, and a lot of the concerns that had kept Liberty from being in a conference before, those have kind of changed a little bit. So I think that could be something to keep an eye on. But again, the Americans focusing on trying to keep Tulane and Memphis right now, and we got to see how that plays out first.
It is going to be interesting how it all shakes out. Great stuff as usual. Be sure to check out the entire article on The Athletic on that Pac-12 movement, and follow Chris Vanini for all the latest across college football and more at Chris Vanini. Chris, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for those midweek October games, midweek on the mountain. We'll see you then.
Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to midweek on the mountain, because October will be here and that sunshine behind us, oh goodness.
My back will no longer be soaked in sweat, you mean? That'd be great.
I feel it's like a salt spa right now.
Anyway, listen, the suits are in trouble for all 3 of us right now.
They really are. As we move on, take a look at our Segra Impact players. Winston Wright Jr., another one of these wide receivers, had a great touchdown against App State, going downfield and just beating both DBs.
Yeah, dude's dynamic. You see him in the slot here, just kind of splitting things. I think it was, a 65-yard touchdown to open that game up. A terrific player. West Virginia transfer. He also went to FSU, didn't play too much there, was a baller, though, at West Virginia. I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. 73% of his yards come after the catch. You see it in the highlight there, making the catch and run after the fact. He's dynamic. You see in the slot here, quarterback's just going to lay that thing out right in between those safeties, takes it to the house. I'm excited to watch him today. I'm nervous for this Liberty defense to see how they try and shut him and some of those other talented receivers down.
Speaking of this ECU defense, Zakai Barker has to be a key piece of this defense. In the middle, he's got to get everybody lined up, alignment, assignment against this offense that Jamey Chadwell deploys. Make this offense have to play based on what you want them to do. Don't let Caden Salter dictate to you. The chess match between Zakai Barker and Caden Salter going to be very interesting to watch. He'll come downhill and play on the other side of the football in the running game, but he'll also drop into coverage. Zakai Barker's versatility and ability to communicate are going to be huge keys for this defense in this ballgame.
I also believe he has a future as an entertainer. Wrestling, perhaps,
yes.
If it's not in the NFL. The guy is just fun to watch.
Would love to know what his wrestling name would be, but back to the Liberty offense here. You gotta have a cooler name than that. But Tyson Mobley taking a look here. Beautiful back shoulder catch for the touchdown last week. Got that foot inbounds. I think he's a guy that can certainly step up. You know, we know that Sibley's kind of that #1 guy, kind of that security blanket for Caden Salter. But Mobley, terrific route runner, really good body control. Excited to see him out on the edge, especially if they're using their #2/3 corners out there today. Could be some opportunities for some downfield shots.
And defensively, TJ Bush Jr. has got to be a key player for this Liberty defense. His ability to come off the edge, create problems. His motor is about as good as it gets in college football. Already with 4 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks on the season. He is a game record. What I love about him the most, his ability to work and use his hands to create opportunities to get to the quarterback. Coming out of Woodbridge, Virginia, you start thinking about guys like Deshaun Hand, who plays in the National Football League right now. Similar skill set. I think Bush is a little bit more talented, whereas Deshaun Hand was probably a little bit more technical at this point in his career. But I think TJ Bush has a chance. Look at that athleticism to be an absolute stud for this team continuing to move forward. It has to continue today as well.
Pat, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about just this talented wide receiver group and how they talk shots downfield, big and physical. Brylan Green for Liberty today. Is he going to be a key cog in this as well?
Yeah, he's going to have to be. You know, this group offensively wants to run 100 plays per game. So you've got to have a guy out there, your field general, communicating, getting guys in position. And then also when he tries to float one into the honey hole, whether it's cover 2, man coverage, getting off the hash over there to either blow somebody up or to make the interception, he's going to have to be that field general all night tonight.
Does Green put on the mask tonight? Does he put on the Joker mask?
I hope he does, so Emily Austin has to. Like, I hope somebody does. I always love when she throws that thing on. So yeah. I think he certainly is a candidate for sure.
When you talk about that many snaps, you just talked about it, trying to run 100 plays. Both offenses are trying to get as many snaps as possible. I think that's going to be something interesting to watch. Again, without Savone Revel in that secondary, you're down a man. If all of a sudden you're dealing with a lot of snaps throughout this football game, what does it look like in a secondary that is depleted from the top down, essentially, with their best corner being out?
Definitely going to keep an eye on that. Well, hey, every sack is a sack to give back to season. Food Lion Feeds will donate 1,000 meals to a neighbor in need for each Liberty sack this season. 7 sacks on the year for LU, 52 yards lost. TJ Bush Jr. leading with 3.
Everyone who's ever believed in these games will get a chance to shine. Embrace the vision, the roar of the crowd. Strike the stone.
You don't have to play sports to enjoy them. Get tickets on the Liberty Flames app or at liberty.edu/tickets.
Tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Lynchburg, Virginia, you'll find us, Liberty University. Here, we pursue excellence in all of our academic endeavors, from anywhere. We fight for victory in our athletic programs and fan the flames with a mighty roar. We equip students with a Christ-centered perspective that changes lives. We are creators, problem solvers, and world changers. But above all of this, we are champions for Christ.
Welcome back to Lynchburg again. Sold out crowd expected at Williams Stadium today. Kickoff here in just under 10 minutes time. Well, let's turn our attention now to our most important part of the pregame show. That is our keys to the game. Reggie, we will start with you with the ECU Pirates.
It has to start with protecting the football. I think that's the most important thing that this football team has to do. Jake Garcia cannot continue to throw the football to the other team. 8 interceptions in 3 games. Have to do a better job than that. Protect the football, especially down in the red zone. Second thing, defensively, you've got to pursue with discipline and tackle in space. I know that's 2 things, but they go hand in hand. You cannot overrun against this option offense. Caden Salter will make you pay, and then you have to tackle in space. If you miss tackles and guys get up the sideline, you're in a lot of trouble. And then finally, you have to win special teams. Andre Powell, the special teams coordinator, Coach Mike Houston, when the rule changed that they get the unlimited amount of coaches, the first thing he did was go hire Andre Powell to come in and be the special teams coordinator. He does not coach another position. They have to win that phase of the game. Going to be an interesting chess match between he and Kyle Krantz from Liberty.
All right, Pat, when we take a look at the Flames, what you got dialed up for us?
Well, listen, I'll say this. I say it every week. Liberty needs to start fast. I didn't even put it as a key this week because they haven't been doing it. So maybe if I don't bring it up, they're going to do it this week. So they do need to start fast. But where I'm kicking things off in terms of the keys for the game is fight fire with fire. What did we say earlier? This ECU defense is going to get after you. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to plug the box. Be aggressive on the outside. Take your shots. You're going to have one-on-one matchups. Take those shots, and you've got to win them. Second key, Reggie, you remember Outkast? You know the song So Fresh and So Clean? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm going with here is we got to stay fresh and stay clean. What I mean by that is ECU wants to run 100 plays in this game. They run a play every 20 seconds. You've got to sub your guys in. You've got to cycle guys in and out of the game. Stay fresh so when that fourth quarter comes along, you're ready to rock and roll.
I thought you meant get out of the sun and sweating. I was excited.
And then then the last key number 3 for the game, you've got to limit those chunk plays and you have to dominate on third down. We talked about how important third down was earlier today. Both of these teams are good. ECU on offense, LU on defense. It's going to be good versus good there. But again, that speaks to getting off of the field, letting your offense get out there to wear their defense down. So those are the 3 keys for Liberty today. Excited to watch this matchup. I think this is going to be the best game all season.
Can I drop a few numbers on you really quick?
Throw them at me.
All right.
Love this.
So when you talk about fast starts, all right, I did a little digging this week and jumped into it. When it comes to third downs in the first half of football games, Liberty 4 of 18 at only 22%. And then also, I promise you I wasn't trying to steal your thunder.
Wow.
When it comes to chunk plays, 50% of the touchdowns against Liberty have come off of chunk plays this season. And against Campbell, first game of the year, 67% of their yardage was against on chunk plays.
Listen, you can only ask that defense to bend and bend and bend so much before they break. That's not a winning formula. You really got to cut down on those chunks.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. This game coming up on ESPN+. Matt Warner, Joe Yock with the call. Once again, the Flames attempting to stay undefeated on the year. Capacity crowd at Williams Stadium. Expected to be a terrific ball game between these two teams. Can Jamey Chadwell stay undefeated against Coach Houston? So much to look at. We'll be back with you post-game show coming up after the game.